Our series begins as we watch an emergency situation in one of the famous hospitals, where it becomes clear that the young man who was transferred there is suffering from a serious injury. Unfortunately, we later discover that he has become wheelchair-bound, and we learn that he is Hong, the CEO of a cosmetics company. He seems to regret what happened to him. We see Hania hitting Miao on the face to force her to marry Hong. It seems that Hania was the one who was going to marry Hong, but after he became disabled, she decided to give him to her sister Miao. Miao suffers from deep sadness, to the point that Hania's mother tells Miao that she won't go to university and that she will marry Hong because it is in the company's interest, while Hania intends to marry her cousin because he is handsome. Miao goes to her father and asks him not to proceed with the marriage, but he feels guilty and tells her that the marriage will take place, no matter the consequences. Everyone is left in agreement, which deepens Miao's sadness. Hania takes her to the car that will take her to her marital home and starts bullying her, pointing out that her paralyzed husband cannot get up from his place to pick her up himself. Hania's conversation with Miao keeps repeating and adds to the breaking of her heart. When Miao arrives, an employee enters Hong's room, but she finds no one. When she enters the bathroom, she finds Hong in the bathtub and is surprised when she falls on him. Their eyes meet and they feel an instant attraction, contrary to what Miao had expected. But Hong believes that he will make her pay a high price because she accepted to marry him for money. It seems he understands well the position of Miao's father, who owns shares in the company. Hong comes out and starts speaking in a way that suggests she exists only to serve him. In her heart, Miao feels she needs to endure for her father, so she approaches him as he wants. But he pushes her away with arrogance and rudeness, forcing her to sleep on the ground beside him, hoping he will need her. We see Zex, Hong's cousin, who feels upset because he thought he would marry Hania. We know that Zex was the first to celebrate after the incident that led to Hong's paralysis. While Hania stands and listens to him, she doesn't respond, so he goes and accuses Hong of stealing his wife, saying he had been with Hania for 18 years. Hong acts calmly, which increases Zex's nervousness, causing him to fall off his chair, making Hong feel helpless. He returns to his room, berates Miao, accuses her of betrayal, and says she sold herself for money and she cannot respond to him. Unfortunately, he is kicking her out. Miao graduated feeling sad and heartbroken, not knowing where to go, and she started to cry. A group of mercenaries approaches her, led by a masked young man. He orders her not to move, and after an exchanged glance, Miao feels that he resembles Hong. She goes to her house, and we later find out that it is Hong. His assistant comes and tells him that he married another woman, and shows him a video of her with Zix, which initially increases Hong's anger. But he ends up happy because this means Miao is innocent. He asks his assistant to take her home, and Miao returns, but she is surprised to see him looking at her picture. When she enters, Hong complains about his condition again and asks her to stay away from him, indicating that he doesn't want her by his side. And after he sleeps, he has nightmares, which he honestly deserves. But Miao comes to take care of him and gets closer to him, and when he realizes that, he holds her hand and doesn't want to let go. She keeps humming to him softly until he calms down and falls asleep again, but he shows a lack of manners when he wakes up, pushing her away and asking what brought her there. She remains silent, checking his pulse and telling him that he had been suffering from insomnia all night. The conversation continues and he speaks with troubling words. She gives him medicine, and just as she is about to leave, he grabs her hand and tells her that Grandpa's birthday is this evening, and he wants her to go with him. Indeed, Miao goes with him to the grandfather's house, and when the grandfather sees her, he is very happy and thinks she will be pleased to know that she initially owns 5% of the inheritance. However, she feels very scared and shows signs of tension, so she tells him that she is not Hania, but Miao, her sister. The grandfather is surprised by her words, and Hong comes to calm the situation, starting to explain things. Miao's father and his wife enter the room, and the wife begins to blame Miao, trying to plant the idea in Hong's mind that Miao is the one who coveted the inheritance. Hong knows very well that she wants to ruin their relationship. Then the grandfather shows the video that contains the truth and praises Miao in front of them, indicating that she is his wife and has the right to inherit. The grandfather gets tired and goes to the hospital, and he does not accept Miao's presence because he considers her an adopted daughter, not his real daughter. After leaving Grandpa's room, Hong is taken to the company, where they know that the unknown person, known for wearing a mask and accompanied by mercenaries, might be their competitor in the market, and that the incident Hong experienced is the reason for him wearing the mask. However, they do not know that Hong is the one behind the mask himself. Miao meets her old lover and discovers that he is married, so they cannot be together. She sees a girl named Nadra and tells Miao that she has no right to interfere in her life. Meow feels upset and leaves the place, while the ex-boyfriend moves away and runs after Meow. Unfortunately, Hong sees them, and Meow's ex-boyfriend gets angry, discovering that he is Hong's relative. Hong warns him that if he touches Meow, nothing good will happen to him. Hong and Meow return home and he asks her to help him with his work, which is just an excuse to stay close to her. In good faith, she advises him to go to sleep, saying she will take care of it, but he gives her a book about Naguib Mahfouz's life, and he wants to read it to challenge sleep. Indeed, a reading error occurs, and he falls asleep like a horse. The next day, Hong enters the auction, but Zex plans to play a game that will lead to his loss. Hong manages to completely thwart Zeke's plans, which infuriates Zeke. Zix tries to eliminate him and hires a gang to kill him, but Meow is with him and his friend Nihao arrives just in time. The shock causes Hong to lose consciousness, and when he arrives at the hospital, the doctor tells Meow that his condition is related to post-traumatic stress disorder. From that moment on, Meow's relationship with Hong improves, and he introduces her to the most beautiful moments of his life in the garden. Grandpa Zex is being harsh because every time he gets into a bigger mess than the last, but Zex avoids talking to him, and they discover that he didn't try to kidnap Hong or anything like that. He just doesn't know what to say. The grandfather gets angry because of Zex's lies and his evasion of responsibility, and they discover that he no longer has a place in the company. Zix pushes him off the stairs and takes the company contract from him. The grandfather is taken to the hospital, and Zex shows that he feels sad for the man. But Hong feels that there is something unnatural about this situation, and it is impossible for Zex to be worried about his grandfather in this way. They learned from the doctor that the grandfather has fallen into a coma, and they do not know when he will regain consciousness. Soon, we discover that the contract Zex took from the grandfather's pocket is the management contract, and he forged the grandfather's signature. But Hong doesn't care, because he feels that Zix has become inferior to him in the company. We see Hong with Meow, where she asks him to go to her mother's grave. And when you tell him about her mother, we discover that she was admitted to a mental hospital, which is why Meow's father married another woman. Meow continues talking about being adopted and shows him a picture of her mother. Unfortunately, they experience a flashback to the day the incident occurred, and we discover that she was the one who hit his car. He wonders how a woman in a mental hospital could drive a car like that. As usual, he first thinks of kicking Meow out of the car, threatening her dignity. So she says to him, "Am I going to meet him on the boat or what?" And Hong remains alone, feeling lost after learning that his father also died because of his mother. Meow stands in confusion, and her ex-boyfriend calls her, telling her that if she isn't with Hassan, he is better than her. And that means he heard that she would be released from Hong. While talking to her, he reveals that he has been suffering from an emotional disorder since the incident of his father's death at the hands of a crazy woman. And when she hears the word crazy, Meow starts to realize what happened, quickly recalling her memories and runs towards her father to confirm her discovery. She is surprised to find Zex with her father and starts connecting the dots. She realizes that her father was the one who allowed her mother to leave the hospital at the time when Hong and his father were at the company, as her father had scheduled an appointment to go to the company. And when the incident happened, her mother had already passed away, and Hong's father as well. Meow graduated feeling depressed and sad, and she collapsed from what she heard, as she did not expect her father to be so criminal, especially since he was the cause of her mother's death and her deprivation of her throughout her life. And from here, the war against him begins. She goes to Hong and tries to communicate with him in vain, so she turns to the mask to announce her cooperation with him, not knowing that he is actually Hong. Hania and her mother bothered her with words, as the news of her divorce spread everywhere except to her father, who is sitting with them. And when she confirms it, she assures him that she heard everything that was said. At dinner, she asks him about the truth of her mother's death, whether she died inside the hospital or outside it. The father is surprised and doesn't know what to say, and he admits that he spent a lot of money to admit her to the hospital, but every time she escaped from him. In the end, she managed to escape and never returned. Meow listens in silence, and her silence is a declaration of war against him. Then she interrupts him and tells him that she is about to graduate and wants to work at their company. Hania interjects and tells her that the company won't benefit from a new graduate, but Meow wants to use her argument and tells them that she owns 15 or 16% of her husband's company's shares, and that if she becomes their CEO, it will be beneficial for them. Hania jumps up from her place as if something has pinched her, and says, "Over my dead body will this happen." And she sees with her own eyes what is happening, but it seems we will soon witness her body, because her father says they should stop talking, and their actions should speak. Hania recalls that Hong has already initiated divorce proceedings. Meow recalls her memories when she found the divorce papers he had prepared. Meow is walking on her way when she meets her ex-boyfriend. Negra begs him to pay attention to her for a moment, but of course she sets aside her dignity and throws herself at him. When she feels that he still loves Meow, she approaches her and slaps her in the face. This shocks Meow, and she doesn't know what to do. But before she delivers the second blow, Meow manages to dodge it, and this time it is Negra who gets hit from another direction. We return to Negra and see her agreeing with her friends about Meow. In fact, one of her friends goes to meet a director who sees her and wants to talk to her. Meow immediately agrees, thinking that Hong has prepared a surprise for her, but she discovers that it was a trap set by Negra, and she finds herself locked in the fridge. You feel very cold and can't go out. Hong has come and is asking about her ex-boyfriend, shouting at him because he doesn't know where she is. Hong activates the mask mode and is able to access her, moves her from the frozen room, and goes to the hotel service to book her a room. As for Negra, her father came to scold her for her behavior, telling her that he didn't know how to raise her, and he asks her if she still remembers the pilgrimage. He starts losing consciousness. Hong is trying to save Meow, and when she wakes up, she asks him how he knew to save her, but he tells her that it was his men who did it. He apologizes to her for thinking about leaving her and tells her that he can't be away from her. The next day at the company, we witness a meeting between Hong, Meow, Hania, and Zix. Hania was not mentally prepared at all to face Meow in the morning, so she keeps circling around her as if she doesn't exist. She starts by mocking her, saying that no matter how much money she has, she will never be able to become a lady, and she will never be able to dress like her. She continues by saying that she needs glasses. Perhaps her poor eyesight is what makes her dress this way. She is preparing to ask Hong why he divorced her, but she will be shocked when she sees him kissing Meow's hand in front of her. Zix tells her that he is just a person sitting in a wheelchair, and that's all there is to it, that he only kisses his wife's hand. Then they gather in the meeting room, where the speaker tells them that there is a new CEO temporarily replacing the grandfather. Wazix expects it to be him, but he is surprised when he discovers that Meow is the one who has been appointed. Of course, Hania went crazy. So Meow tells them that this is her official appointment paper, and everyone can take a look at it. Zeke's anger increases, and he leaves the place while Meow continues her work, goes to take her paper, and throws it outside because she needs to expand her office. Indeed, their cunning is great. Hania remains silent and goes to complain to her father, but he also tells her that if he hears a single word about it, he will leave the company and go away. The father seems to have suddenly started loving Meow, feels frustrated with everything she does, and tells her that he has not raised anyone but her, and she is the only one deserving of his upbringing. Meow gazes at him, thinking to herself that he still doesn't know what she's planning, and that the old Meow is no longer there. He is now facing a completely new Meow. Hania continues to curry favor with Zex, since he has given up his share of the inheritance, and this is the only way Hania has. This is what shows us her expertise in accusing Meow of not being present. But Zex tells her that the grandfather is not dead yet, and when God remembers him, he will regain his right to manage, and then he will do as he pleases. Hania begins her wicked plan, and we find out when the employee Liao comes the next day and tells Meow that there is a customer who was harmed by their cosmetic products, leaving her face with many scars. And when we see Hania sitting with one leg crossed over the other, it seems she is the one who set the trap for Meow. Hong is traveling, and when he learns from the news what happened in his company and bears the blame alone, he is determined to return immediately. He tells his assistant that he must be there as soon as possible, but the weather is rainy and there are no flights. Hong decides to book a private flight to return quickly because there is a major issue at the company. The agent's son is present, and as soon as he sees Meow, he puts a knife to her neck and threatens her that he will do to her what he did to his daughter's appearance. Hania appears at that moment, gloating over her, and realizes that if she is unable to bear the burdens of management, she should leave it to someone who deserves it. Meow wants to convince her father that Hania was the one managing things during the product sale period. And after gathering his information, the father is indeed sure that Hania is the reason, but he is getting close to ending things with her after it has turned to this extent. But Hong arrives just in time, takes the hit instead of her, and of course, Meow runs towards him and gets closer. And it's just a small scratch, but of course, her heart turns to sadness. And because Hania is not used to these genuine feelings, she distances herself from them. As for Hong, Meow might have also been scratched in the place where the knife was. In the midst of the overwhelming and exaggerated emotions, she tells him that the cosmetic product contains toxic preservatives, and they must find out who made it. Hong assures her that he will do his utmost to reach a solution indeed. They go to visit the grandfather who is in a coma. After they leave the hospital, Hong discovers that the grandfather has started to improve. And as they were leaving, Hong recognized the janitor and told him he was the manager. The worker tries to escape from him as much as possible, but Hong keeps holding his hand and tells him that he knows him, and that he is manager's son. Sun gives in and sits with them, and we learn that he was the director of the mental hospital where Miao's mother was. They start thinking about the mother's condition, and Seon continues to pretend that he doesn't remember anything until Hong confronts them. He remembers the check that was transferred to his account immediately after his mother's death, and then he left the hospital completely. Sun admits, saying, now I remember. He tells them that when his mother was admitted to the hospital, she was at the peak of her mental faculties, and she was trying to get out of it, but she always got angry and lost her temper until she started hallucinating due to her breakdown. On the day of the incident, someone came and fled, and after her death, money was sent for her care in exchange for leaving the hospital. Miao gets angry and asks Sun who sent them the money, because he is the reason for her mother's death. But Hong calms her down and tells her that he will be able to find out in due time. They meet the theater duo, Hania and Zex, and as usual, Zex continues to use girlish language in his speech and appears as if he is sitting in a wheelchair while he has legs and moves and does inappropriate things. But Hong is not affected by a single word he says, and he grabs Miao's hand, who has only 1 minute left before she devours Zix out of sheer anger. We come to the moment of the meeting that will determine who the actual president is. Zix was able to exploit what happened to his advantage, and because Hong saved Hania from the man who wanted to get rid of her, the word was proven true when he said he was the one responsible. The partners see that he is indeed wrong and irresponsible for the position, so elections and voting are held to determine who wants Zix and who wants Hong. And Zex is in the lead with 3 votes. And before the name of the position holder is announced, Hong tells them that the grandfather did not vote, so he has the highest percentage. The grandfather enters with confident steps and announces that Hong is the president. We return to a flashback where Hong was with his grandfather and he told him everything that was happening. And we know that Hong realized he had awakened, but he hid it from all of them until he knew what the last possible moves against them were. We return to the present, and it seems that Zix will be in for a big shock, while the grandfather is very happy to see Miao standing next to Hong and next to him personally, realizing that no one else will be able to provide him with treatment from now on. As for Hania, she is waiting for Zex with bated breath, but he comes with good news and tells her that everything is over, because the grandfather is still alive. Miao's father comes and works on the sides, telling Hong that he should take care of his daughter, but Hong embarrasses him and tells him that this is his wife, and it should be the other way around. Hania falls silent upon seeing these words and looks at Hong with a strange expression as if saying to him, "Where have you been?" She considers herself so beautiful that she can attract anyone into her web. She begs her father and mother to give her Hong instead of Miao, as if he were a piece of chocolate. The next day, Zex meets her and asks why she doesn't respond to him, and he discovers that she is with someone who has a lot of money. But she leaves him and goes to cling to Hong, as if she had fallen for him, then pretends to be exhausted. But Hong throws it away, leaves it, and walks away. Zix tells her that Hong has only been the boss for 1 day. How did she manage to throw herself at him? And her response to him would be, "Yeah, what do you think?" Then you run after him, and when you find him glued to Miao, you say he doesn't deserve her beauty, not even a quarter of the trust she has. And she starts promoting it with rumors on the internet and posting its pictures on social media platforms. When Miao arrives at the company the next day, she finds everyone talking about her. She goes to her office, opens her laptop, and writes down what Hania did. Then you go to Hania's office and slap her in the face to correct her behavior immediately. And she realizes that she deserved it for a long time, but she was the one who insulted it too much. When you return home, you find that her father is also upset, as if all his allies have betrayed him. We see Zex negotiating with the father to give him his share in the crime with his wife, and the father is unable to find a way out. The next day, he goes to Hania and forces her to cooperate with him against her will. And he tells her that he will give her videos of the type she likes, and he is sure of this word. Then Hania ends, and finally something happens that calms her down and makes her afraid. Then he tells her a very dangerous secret and leaves, and she calls out to him. At night, the father, Abu Kalb Hanin, is inviting his daughter and her husband to dinner. But of course, his wife and daughter Hania are not accepting this at all. And for his own benefit, he can oppose anyone and keep scolding Hania in front of them. Hania tells Miao that she is not her daughter, nor even the daughter of the woman who passed away. The only reason is that she couldn't have children, and that's why she was adopted. Nothing more. Miao is shocked and looks at her father, and the father doesn't know what to say. We go back to the flashback and find out that this is the dangerous secret that Zex told her. Miao is on the verge of madness and wants to know the details, but Hania leaves her and moves on. The person who caused the car collision on the day of the mother's accident arrives in Hong's car, But unfortunately, his face is disfigured due to the fire that resulted from the collision. He comes to punish the father, and he is still approaching him to kill him with his knife. Hong tries to intervene as much as he can, but he is forced to get up from his place and gets stabbed in the leg. Then he goes to the father and gets stabbed in the heart. Hania and her mother return, running towards the father, and Miao doesn't know whether to follow her husband or her father. The father is taken to the hospital, and of course, Miao and Hong are with him. When the father asks to meet her, Miao refuses to do so, but later she goes to him and discovers that he confesses to her that everything she heard is very true, and he tells her that she has to save the company from ruin. And despite Miao's opposition to what he says, her kind heart drives her to agree. Then he gives her a box containing the keys to the company's safe. But while they are talking, they discover that someone is watching them from afar, and that ear is Hania's ear. And he calls her and takes her hand and Miao's hand, and says to them, "Love each other, kids," as if he still remembers after all these years that they should love each other. The conversation continues until Hania puts on the black outfit. She goes to Hong as if the masked man is the owner of the rival company and tells him that she will give him Miao as a gift so he can get rid of Hong, without realizing that the disaster is that he is Hong himself. And of course, he agrees. Then Hania goes, pretending to be kind, and offers Miao a nice meal. She realizes that she feels pity for her, and her face looks pale and needs something to eat. She leaves her and walks away, her eyes filled with looks of anger. Miao loses consciousness and suddenly finds the masked Hong standing and trying to approach her, while Miao is watching and filming them. And this is the trap that Hania has dug for herself. As soon as she walks away, they look at her. And when she goes to tell Hong about them, he asks her where they are and pretends to be so shocked by his wife that he was about to get rid of Hania. And he hears Hania asking him to come closer, and he also asks her to massage his leg because it hurts. Miao fully embraces the role and starts acting in a way that pleads to Hong. When Hania sees that, she goes to take a picture with him to announce their engagement, and he continues his act, claiming he is challenging the world for her. Miao continues her performance and appears shocked by their scene, but Hania doesn't take it as a passing mention. And as soon as she sees it, she goes back to a flashback and recalls what Hong told her about the necessity of announcing their marriage before Zex's arrival. Zix will try to present the matter, and when you see him, you must try by any means to get the last key to the vault from him so they can take over the company together. But what you don't know is that this plan originally belongs to Hong and Miao. Hania manages to get close to Zex, successfully steals the key from his room, and then rushes to Hong, where he tells her that he has called the police. While his wife Miao is being recognized, the truth is also revealed, and they realize that Hong is the one in disguise. Hania leaves and begins her madness, but it doesn't stop there. She has indeed gone mad. Her supervisor is Zix, and unfortunately, he still loves her, which causes him great distress due to Miao's agreement with Hong about her. He heads straight to kidnap Miao and take her to the car where there is a bomb, but Hong arrives just in time. We discover that Zex has become mentally ill due to his hatred for Hong, and he keeps repeating words that indicate jealousy. He continues, saying, since he pretended for years to be disabled, he will make himself disabled for real. His men come and hit Hong in the knee, causing him to fall to the ground. Zix approaches him and tells him that he no longer has anything to live for. He opens the car door for everyone to get in and die together, but Hong manages to get up and stand on his feet, pushing Zex to the back door while getting ready to drive. The bomb ignites while Hong continues to drive the car away from Miao, and the car explodes after he has moved far away from it. Miao wakes up after the shock, starts suppressing her feelings of sadness because she is pregnant, tries to confirm her pregnancy, but she is confident that Hong will return to her. After a whole year, we see her with her child as she closes the villa door. She was surprised by Hong's appearance, but after a few minutes, she realizes she is imagining it, and that unfortunately, he has indeed passed away. This is the end of our series. See you soon. Bye.